Update. My ex-husband wouldn't let my youngest daughter to be at my wedding. Original post. So I need to give some backstory. My ex-husband, 37 male, and I, 37 female, have been divorced for 6 years now. We have 2 daughters. Emily, 16 female, and Gabby, 8 female, and was happily married for 10 years. Then, he cheated on me with a college freshman and left me for her. It was hard for me. I was in so much emotional pain. It wasn't just his cheating, but also how he said he hates me and that I looked ugly. He even said something on the line of, I was not as tight as I used to be. You can imagine my pain. It gave me some serious trust issues. I couldn't forget what he said to me during our divorce. Emily knew why we divorced, and she held some resentment towards her father for that. But Gabby was too young at the time. Nonetheless, he was a crappy husband, but a good father to both of them. We shared custody. The girls would be with me from Friday to Monday. I tried my best, but from time to time I would spiral, and I have been in and out of therapy since my divorce. I met my now husband Ben, 41 male, 4 years ago. We met because we worked in the same building and I was crying on the roof of the office building. Ben was there too when he saw me. He asked me what happened and I just bawled my eyes out because that day was my wedding anniversary, and that was the same day my ex decided that he would get married to his affair partner. Ben listened to my concerns and stayed with me the whole day to make sure I was fine. He even dropped me to my house because I was too emotionally unstable to drive myself. From there, we started dating. He told me a story about how he lost his wife and only daughter 10 years ago in a car accident. He was really fond of my daughters as well. Emily has started to call him Dad after a year of us dating. Gabby also calls him Daddy Ben. I was finally healing and getting back to my old self. Ben was really nice and caring, and we welcomed our son a year ago. My girls are happy to have a brother. He proposed to me when I was pregnant, and we had been planning for our wedding since then. Now here is the issue. Emily is one of my bridesmaids, while Gabby is my flower girl. Emily is old enough to choose which parent she wants to live with, so there was no issue from her part. But Gabby was still going back and forth from my house to my ex's house. My wedding is in 2 weeks. My ex was fine with it at first. I spoke to him many times to make sure that he drives Gabby to my mother's place, but now he refuses. He says that he only gets to see his daughter 3 times a week, and he is not willing to give up his days for some party. I told him he could take my days for a week and let her be at the wedding, but he says he will not let Gabby go. The wedding is on a Tuesday, which means Gabby would be with him. I cannot change the date because everything is booked. Please give me some advice. We have argued a lot, and I don't think I can go through any emotional pain with us ever again. Gabby would be heartbroken because she is really excited to be flower girl. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Wow, what a massive a-hole. Tell him you will give up a month's worth of days for that one day because it is a monumental special occasion. Ask him if he is really that heartless to hurt his daughter just to spite you. Ask him if he can look her in the eye and explain to her why she doesn't get to be a flower girl in her mom's wedding. Ask him if he hates you more than he loves his daughter. Will your older child talk to him? While it's really not fair to put her in that situation, it may help. I don't want to put this pressure on her. She already hates him for what he had done. I don't think giving up a month just for one day seems logical, but I will have a harsh talk with him. He cannot keep my daughter away from me. Les, your ex is using your youngest daughter to get to you. It's not about her or the wedding, it's about pushing buttons. He knows how to do it, and has found one to push. I learned it in the hard way. In total disclosure, my ex did something similar. I thought she was above that, but she wasn't. My 4 kids didn't go to my wedding to second and current wife. They hold that against her still 23 years later. Karma sucks sometimes. As a last-ditch effort, contact the attorney you used when you got divorced. See if they will draft a letter to him reminding him that events in parents' lives are usually negotiated between the willing parents for the good of the children. Maybe a letter will adjust his thinking. If not, I'd send a final text, then let it go. I'm not sure how he's going to explain to the youngest why the older can go and she can't, but that's his anchor. And if younger asks you why, tell her Dad's pushing for you to not be there. I want you there. He does not. Firmly point out that this is on him, not you. Congrats on the upcoming wedding. Focus on the day, not that jerk messing with you. I will do that. Thanks. Now for the update 4 days later. It's been hectic since the last I posted. So I mentioned in my last post that my ex-husband with whom I share 2 children, Emily and Gabby. Emily lives with me now. but occasionally goes to her father's place. I made that post on Wednesday and went Friday to pick up Gabby. My daughter Emily was angry. I asked her what happened, and she says that Gabby was throwing a tantrum because of some stupid lie their father has told Gabby that they will be going on a vacation on my wedding day. Gabby said no, because she was excited to be my flower girl and threw a tantrum. I was furious. This cowardly man wanted to take my daughter away from me so that she's never my flower girl. I stomped my way into his house and demanded to see my daughter. My fiancé was with me. I demanded to see my daughter and said that he was a coward for not telling my daughter the real reason why she can't be at my wedding. My daughter rushed towards my fiancé Ben, and I told him to tell Gabby the truth. I was done with this man. I told him if he doesn't tell her, I will. I had screenshots on my phone. I am surprised that he caved and eventually told her the truth. Gabby was crying and saying that she hates him. My ex-husband was not having it. She took Gabby away from Ben and violently shakes her and calls her a brat who doesn't appreciate her dad. I don't know what came onto me, but I saw red and pushed my ex out of the way. He called me a witch, and his wife came out and tried to handle him. I got my daughter Gabby, but my ex wasn't letting me. He even got into a physical altercation with my fiancé, while Emily was recording it from a distance. My ex kept shouting that he will not let my daughter go with him. I reminded him that this is my turn to have her, and that he agreed he would let my daughter stay with me until the wedding is over. I have the messages with me that he agreed to our agreement. He couldn't do anything, and we left. Upon arriving, Emily told me if it is possible to keep Gabby with us forever, because she does not want to live with her dad. I asked why, and she told me that her dad has been really angry ever since I started a relationship. It wasn't that extreme at first. Then he started insulting me behind my back about how much I downgraded by dating Ben. It got even more agitated when he learned I was pregnant. He has been asking his wife to start having kids, and they had fights multiple times. It doesn't end there. Emily also mentions he would often lash out on Gabby and even scold her for making small mistakes. He even forced both of them to call his wife mom, but Emily refused. She also said the only reason she ever goes back is because she knows Gabby has to stay with him, and she is just protecting her. I cried and asked her why she didn't tell me. She responded that she saw how happy I was with Ben, so she didn't want to burden me. I don't know what to say. I never wanted my daughter to take the burden. While I am happy that she tried to protect her sister, I feel disappointed in myself that I was so busy with my new life that I neglected my daughter. Whenever they came home, they were smiling, and I took that as a sign that everything was okay. I told Emily while I'm proud of her, she should have told me. She should have never taken it upon herself to save Gabby. I am their mother, and I will protect them from everything. I was going to let my daughter stay with my ex when I was in my honeymoon, so that he would not cry about not spending enough time with his daughters. Now I'm thinking otherwise. I don't know what to do. I am really stressed and next week is my wedding. The amount of people freak out when the ex starts dating again is mind-boggling. Especially the ones who cheated on their ex and left them. I saw another post on AITA where the mom who cheated on OP's father with his stepdad freaked out when her ex who she left 7 years ago started dating. The mom straight up stalked the girlfriend. The cheater never ends up happy. You see it time and time again. Because they always want something new and shiny, and nothing is new and shiny forever. They don't realize things only stay shiny when you polish them. That child bride knows that she doesn't want kids with this man. I mean, she probably is planning her exit, refusing to have kids with him, so no attachments. Watching him mistreat his own children? If he's doing it to the kids, he's doing it to her. OP leaving that marriage is the best thing that happens. I'm glad she found a good match that her kids seem to love. It's not clear, but it sounds like they might have video of the ex-man handling poor Gabby and a verbal altercation, which looks bad for both of them, but seems to be on the side of OP. Some parenting classes or whatever would be well worth getting her out of that house if they can get a judge to see the ex seems to be edging towards physical harm. I mean, she only jumped when her ex was shaking Gabby, so it can count as self-defense. Last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for calling my mother-in-law on my fiancé? Original post. My fiancé, male 22, was injured over a month ago and had surgery to correct things literally 2 days after the accident. I, 21, female, have been by his side the entire time. I have more or less become his caregiver. In the last month, I have taken over the role of keeping our house together. I cook all the meals, I take care of the pets, I stay up all night to tend to his endless needs, and I take him to the bathroom. I have been working remote and haven't left the house for more than an hour since the accident, aside from taking him to and from appointments. I am not saying this to complain. I am grateful that my life allows for me to support him the way I have. My problem is his attitude. He was given very strong painkillers for the first 2 weeks after surgery. He had to extend his time on them. He recently stopped taking them the last week. When he was taking them, he thanked me, told me how much he loved me, apologized at every step, though he didn't need to. Without the meds, he doesn't seem to see that I'm helping him. Every dish I bring him is the wrong one. He will yell for me, and when I come, he will tell me to get lost. If he's in pain, he expects me to fix it. I am exhausted. I can't do anything right, and it is wearing on me. I haven't slept in weeks. I haven't seen a friend or family member in way too long. I can't even be on the phone for more than 10 minutes without it being an issue. After days of what turned into verbal abuse, I called my mother-in-law. I told her everything as soon as I saw he was asleep. I cried for about 15 minutes. I felt terrible unloading on her like that, but I had so much built-up frustration I just couldn't stop. She was very supportive on the phone, let me know I wasn't wrong to feel like that and let me cry. After hearing everything, she was furious and ended our call to talk to her son. She tore him a new one. I heard him trying to defend himself through the door, but it was mostly just stammering. She flew up yesterday and put me in a nice hotel. I haven't heard much from my fiancé since I left, but as I was leaving, he was yelling at me for calling his mom. He said he didn't want to marry someone who couldn't be there for him in sickness. I told him I loved him and I was sorry. I am just so tired. He didn't care and just told me to go, and his mom could do a better job for him than I ever could. So now I'm on my way to a nice hotel room, feeling like a major a-hole. I need to know if I'm wrong here. Edit. He began weaning off 2 weeks ago and became fully dependent on over-the-counter medication this week. He did not stop taking them cold turkey. His doctors were heavily involved too, due to previous substance abuse. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You've gone above and beyond. In sickness and in health does not mean never needing a break. It doesn't mean accepting abuse. Can you break up with a fiancé and keep the mother-in-law? She sounds great. I second this. Toss the fiancé, keep mother-in-law. Maybe. Withdrawal and pain make a-holes of us all. OP, previously he was super grateful. Maybe give it a few weeks? I think the crappy side of him is the true side. If she doesn't want to deal with him being rude and emotionally abusive, yelling and cussing at her, I'd run. Not the a-hole. It's in sickness and in health, not through abuse and toxicity. This is a distinction that needs to be highlighted more often. Not the a-hole. Exactly. And they're not even married, so those vows mean crap. Lol. Mother-in-law sounds like a keeper though. Now for the updates. Mother-in-law is taking him back to their hometown once they can get flights together. I'll stay in this hotel until then. Fiancé doesn't want to talk yet, and to be honest, I don't blame him. He knows what's coming, and I'm angry. I'll go visit him in a week, so I have until then to decide how I want to move forward. My mother called last night about a venue she found in my hometown, and I told her what's going on. She doesn't want to spend a bunch of money on a pending divorce, so we are stepping back from planning. Not much more to add. I'm excited to see my pets and be able to sleep in my own bed. I'm going to try to make my sister fly to my state, so I can have some company. That's pretty much it. I'm in serious awe about how I let my life get like this. But oh well, today will be better. Second update. I went home 2 days after posting. Things were sad. My mother-in-law had cleaned, but the energy in the house was a bummer. The first thing he said to me when I got back was, "I'm glad you're back. Can you make me a snack?" There was no apology, no accountability, just a task. He only talked to me when he needed something, and his attitude was worsening. My mother-in-law took the rest of his prescribed opiates, so I knew he wasn't using. The weekend following the mother-in-law debacle, my wonderful fiancé told me he had friends coming to stay for the weekend. 2 hour heads up. Didn't ask. I sighed and made up the guest room. His friend and friend's girlfriend came to stay, and during the stay, my fiancé bought me flowers, got out of bed daily, took me out, and let me call my parents and supervised. The day they left, he was back to bed with a crappy attitude. I wish I could say I am in my own apartment with my pets, and a bottle of rosé that's just for me. Or with my girlfriends that I haven't seen in months. Unfortunately, I'm writing this on a couch while I listen to the music that are his endless demands. However, I do have a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm scared to leave him in person, but he's leaving the country for a month in April. My sister lives abroad, and I'm working on getting her during that month. That's a process, especially with pets, but I'm looking forward to getting there. My mother hasn't spoken to me since I told her I was returning the ring, because that's not what we do. We clean our messes. But I have my father's unwavering support. I'll miss my mother-in-law, but I deserve that kindness and understanding from my partner, not his mother. I have stopped forcing myself to find a joy in his presence, and it's helping to fuel my drive to get out of here. I may update again when I get to my sister, but don't be surprised if I do my best to put this chapter behind me. Thanks for the kind words. I hope you all get the love and hugs you need. Sorry, I'm confused. I thought fiancé was going with mother-in-law. Either way, I'm glad you're getting out. The fact that he allowed you to call your parents unsupervised is probably the biggest red flag. And the fact that your mother thinks that this is a mess that you made, or that you need to work to clean up is awful too. But I'm glad you have the support of your dad and mother-in-law. If you don't give another update, then I'll just wish you the best here. You deserve to get out. Mother-in-law was planning on taking him. He refused. The fact that when his friends were around, his switch flipped and he was fine. Then he went right back to being horrible. It's all you needed to know of his true colors. I look forward to seeing an update about you drinking some rosé away from him. Exactly. That's how abusers behave. Nice and loving towards you in front of others, while being a complete monster behind closed doors. Final update. Things got very bad since I posted this, and I'm currently in my childhood room at my father's, decently hungover. And I am officially a single lady. Am I the a-hole for giving my stepson a 20-minute time limit to return my car before I phone the police? Plus update. Original post. This happened last night and I'm extremely annoyed. I am a 34 female doctor and part of my job entails being on call for 1 to 3 nights a week, twice a month. My fiancé Dale, 30 male, has been saving, with my stepson's mom, to buy him a car for Christmas. My stepson Rex, 16 male, has a license already but always has to borrow his mom's station wagon or his dad's beat-up pickup truck. His mom's car is lame and embarrassing and his dad's can only hold 1 passenger. Not practical for a teen. On to the main conflict. Rex texted me yesterday around 12 if he could borrow my car after school. His friends wanted to go to the mall but the bus route is too long, so could they borrow my car? I texted back a, sorry but no, I'm on call again. Can you ask your mom? He says no. I told him, sorry, but my answer is still no. I'm sure you will find a solution. Ask your friends and you can all figure it out. If you see where this is going, you are less shocked than I am. I was up in my home office, the room where I keep my switch, sewing machine, and laptop, so not an official office, when I heard Rex and his friends downstairs after school. I was going to see if they needed anything, but they left after a few minutes. An hour later, I went to the kitchen, cleaning up the empty bottles and wrappers from their snacks. Then I saw the spot where I left my keys empty. I began to panic. First, I bolted to the door and my car was gone. Immediately dialed my stepson. He picks up and it's obvious he's in a mall store that plays loud music. I told him to get himself home now, and he laughed and said that I am not his mom, that he'll be home whenever he pleases. I'm not proud, but I told him that he has 20 minutes to get home or I'll call the police and report it stolen. Rex panics and said he couldn't find all his friends and drive home in 20 minutes. Told him tough luck. 10 minutes later, I get a text that he is in a mall parking lot and will be home soon. I phoned Rex's mom and informed her of his stunt. She was madder than me when I told her that I was on call. She apologized and promised to talk with Rex and Dale ASAP. Then Rex came in, threw me my keys and locked himself in his room. Dale finally came home around 8 and he said he had been on the phone with his ex. He demanded to know why I punished his son. I put my foot down and explained I am on call. That means I need my car. And Rex stole my car. Dale disagrees. His ex agrees with me and decided she will not be buying Rex a car anytime soon due to his entitlement. Dale thinks I am making a big deal out of nothing. I didn't end up going into work, so why did I have to threaten Rex? I've only gone in twice this year while on call. But just because nothing happens doesn't mean that I'm always clear. Rex is now grounded. Fiancé barely speaks to me but asks me when I'm going in today. I'm not, and if I will apologize. I am still not budging and I'm still angry he doesn't get it. Am I the a-hole? Editing because it came up in the comments. Yes, Dale was 14 when Rex was born. Don't get hung up on this. It isn't about teen parents. Rex's mom was 15 when they had him and is the best mom if you ask me. She's who introduced me to Dale. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not Dale. Rex took your car even after you said no, and Dale is okay with that? Teenagers need boundaries and rules, and parents need to enforce those. Dale is the a-hole and is setting Rex up to be one too. Rex owes you an apology, not the other way around. He demanded to know why I punished his son. Agreed that Dale is the a-hole while Opie's not the a-hole. Opie didn't even punish his kid. She simply demanded that he return the property that he stole. The son rudely refused, so Opie had no choice but to let him know that there would be consequences for his actions if he didn't return the car. Dale's completely off base if he thinks his son did nothing wrong, and that Opie should apologize. Even the ex thinks he is being 100% unreasonable. What would Opie even be apologizing for? Opie's fiancé is just telling his son that he co-signs his theft/disrespect of Opie. It's like he thinks that just because Opie didn't end up having to go in it should be okay for this kid to commit grand theft auto? Clearly, he has little respect for how being in an on-call job works. Not a-hole. Your stepson is clearly entitled because he did steal your car. He even had another option, but it wasn't cool enough? Anything so little of you, it wasn't even of consequence in his mind to take your car and then throw the keys at you afterward. The threat of calling the cops was a perfect response because it seemed to be the first time he was shown that his actions have consequences. Your fiancé? That's even worse. He damn well knows better what an on-call is. And regardless of that, you saying no means no. Why is not a question. If you don't want him to take your car, he should respect that. Your fiancé playing this off is a huge problem because it excuses your stepson's behavior. This is a relationship-ending problem. Do not budge though, or his behavior will get worse. I got my driver's license before all of my friends in high school. My mom graciously let me drive her minivan most times after I asked. At first, I was embarrassed because it was a big, bulky Toyota Sienna, but my friends didn't care. It just means that more people could ride. It also helped that the stereo system had amazing bass. WTF? Your fiancé is a walking red flag. He's a terrible parent and he doesn't even realize it. Stealing a car is a big deal. This is not a gray area. No offense, but you're a doctor. You have your act together. You can do better than a man who expects you to apologize when his son commits a felony. Life is too short to be married to a crappy parent. I won't even date someone who doesn't raise a dog up to a certain standards, much less a parent of a human being. This isn't a harmless prank either. Even if Opie was a stay-at-home mom, taking a vehicle without permission is at least a $10,000 to $25,000 item that they may not want a potentially uninsured teenager driving. Some people aren't even comfortable letting their friends drive their vehicles. The entitlement this teen has could ruin his own life. I'm military, and a lot of the senior generation NCOs who were teens in the 80s committed crimes like this and were given an option: lengthy jail sentence or serve a stint in the Army. My favorite master surgeon stole a car at 18 and chose the Army. He now has a daughter graduated from West Point, and he retired to work at Raytheon on top secret missile projects. Kids these days aren't given second chances like this anymore. It could stay with him forever. Edit/update. Now I can see why my friend told me the sub can be a little much. I'm very thankful for these responses, but I think I'm going to leave the comments now and have a very frank discussion with Dale tonight. Rex is with his mom, so he won't be in the middle or get involved. Kids still wouldn't look at me and called me a witch who won't let him get his own car now. Now for the full update. So apparently Dale reads through this subreddit on his work breaks. He texted me a link to my post during his dinner break. A short time later, I first received a call from Rex's mom who said that Dale called her and ranted about how I made him look bad online. She told him that she didn't care because he did not react the way a good parent should. Dale was so furious that he told her that he would be calling his mother to see if someone actually cared about his feelings. Dale's mother handed his butt back to him good and reiterated to Dale that he was not an active part in his son's life until he was 6, so he has no leg to stand on. Dale tried to complain about how everyone was being unfair to him. She shut him up and told him that his son did something wrong, and this is not about punishing him for being a bad father. Dale returned home a little while ago, about an hour earlier than he usually does. He looked defeated, but he was still short with me. Said he was disappointed that I posted and now everyone who knows will think he's a joke and a bad father. I didn't think this conversation would end up with my ending the engagement and relationship, but it did. The house is all in my name, so Dale is packing up his things and crawling back to his mom's house. The wedding wasn't set, so no money or time lost there. Dale said so many things that I don't even want to write down. This is not the man who I have known for 4 years, and I'm honestly shocked at how selfish he is. He said my doctor money would have to buy Rex a car to make up for all the hard feelings. I am astonished at how delusional he is. I am done with his account and will not be returning. Added to add that also, the fact he wasn't in Rex's life till age 6 was a huge red flag to me. He never mentioned it and refused to admit it was a big deal during the argument we had when he came home. Sending internet hugs, OP. Sorry for something so important to end over something so stupid and ridiculous. At least it showed you before you were too committed what you were getting into. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my car back, causing my sister to lose her job? In January, my sister Jan, 28, had her car broke down and had to be scrapped. My sister works an hour's drive away from her apartment, and there are no public transit options to get her to and from work. She was denied a car loan for bad credit, along with not being able to afford to put any money down, and things were looking pretty dire. I'm the only person in the family with good enough credit to get a decent car loan, so my parents talked me into taking the loan out and registering the car under my name. The deal was that Jan would give me the money to pay for everything: insurance, monthly payments, etc. And when the car was paid off, I would transfer the title to my sister. This has been the biggest headache. Jan has gone months without paying me at all, and when she does, she is always short and making excuses. The truth is, I'm essentially paying for the car plus insurance for my sister, with a promise of reimbursement. My parents have also promised to make up the difference at some point, but I doubt that will happen. It has been 2 months since Jan has paid me, and it is again looking like I will have to pay this month's payment out of my own pocket. I am so sick of this, and told Jan last week that I want to be paid in full by that Friday or I would be taking the car and selling it. She just disingenuously apologized and promised super seriously to have the money to me that week. Friday rolled around and she had ignored all my texts and calls. I had my girlfriend drive me out to her apartment, and I told her to hand the keys to the car over or I would call the police and report it stolen. The car is legally my property and I'm done paying out of pocket so she can have a car. She told me she had shifts all weekend and that she would be fired if she could not go. I told her I don't care, and then she threatened to sue me. In the end, I got the car and listed it over the weekend. Jan lost her job last night for not showing 3 days in a row. The fact my parents or some other person could not drive her to work seems to escape her, as she and my parents have branded me the biggest a-hole on the planet. Now for the top comments. She wasn't even trying to make an effort to pay you back. It's your car, not the a-hole. I don't get these kinds of people. What do they honestly expect from people doing them ridiculously huge favors? If someone did something like that for me, I can't imagine just ghosting them and going so long without a payment. Even if I was legitimately strapped for cash, I would pay whatever pathetic sum I could. Even if I keep on getting more and more behind, I can at least show my genuine desire to pay and appreciate the favor done for me. The answer is they are a-holes and they think everyone would screw them over like they screw people over. So they have zero issues with it. Not the a-hole. Driving an hour each way for work costs a lot of money, no matter how fuel efficient the car is. If, after 6 months, your sister couldn't make this pay, perhaps she either needed to move closer to work or find a job closer to home. In any case, it wasn't up to you to subsidize her attempt. But if you took the car back Friday and she didn't get your parents to pay you something that night, well, it sounds like maybe they weren't as upset about this as they claim. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not honoring all of her wishes? Backstory. My husband and I separated 2 years ago. At first, we hated each other. It got better this past year. We spoke, we're friends, we both still loved each other. He passed on September 15th. As his wife, no one would speak to his girlfriend. We'll call her Avery. She called me, upset that no one would speak to her. Coroner, police, no one. After speaking to the coroner, I can understand why she doesn't want me to be the one in charge. Avery has given 2 separate stories regarding his passing. This is also the second time she has went through this exact same situation. 3 years ago with her deceased husband and now mine. So I'm already on edge. I've spoken to his, we will call him Landon, family, and they don't know her really and have only spoken to her via Facebook/FaceTime. They do not get along very well and she hasn't really wanted to get to know them. I don't know much about Avery, just what I've been able to learn in the past 4 days in speaking with her. I know she's hurting. I know she's grieving. I'm taking this a lot harder than I thought I would be, and maybe I shouldn't be. I don't know. I'm not sure how to handle this. Avery's mother called me the day I found out about Landon's death and asked me to check my life insurance policy and make sure it would still pay even without the cause of death. This was before the coroner gave a reason and before I even mentioned the life insurance. The DC says unknown pending investigation or something to that effect. I don't have it yet. She's trying to push us all out of every aspect of his memorial, even though I'm paying for it. I dropped the policy after a year and is going against Landon's wishes. He didn't want a burial, but a cremation and a small memorial then mixed with his parents. Avery sent a message yesterday asking me to see if the morgue would give me Landon's thumbprint. She wouldn't give a reason. She wants to have the memorial at her church with only pictures of the two of them, not his family or me and him. I can understand, but didn't understand why his family and friends would be there since she doesn't know them. She wants me to ask for a lock of his hair. She wants to display his ashes in the same Amish box that her husband was in. I said no. I think that's just distasteful. Now I'm being called and messaged by her family and her, saying how I'm trying to take over and that I shouldn't have a say in any of this. I'm not. I did ask for her input and help. I countered with the fact that I'm paying for it all and that I am still his wife and have a 20-year history with Landon. They argued that this wasn't about me. It's not. It's about Landon. But it's about Avery and Landon. Their life together, 1 year, and have nothing to do with it. And that they don't know why I'm so upset over him passing or being involved. And I'm an a-hole for not honoring Avery's wishes and letting her have what she wants for her boyfriend. Am I the a-hole in this situation? Now for the top comments. She had a previous husband die in a similar way. There's a pending investigation on your late husband's death. She's given 2 different stories, inquiring about life insurance policy. Maybe I just watched too much true crime, but this sounds suspicious as heck. It's not just you. It sounds very suspicious to me as well, and to his family. We think this is one of the reasons she's trying to push us completely out of everything. Not the whole. I'm sorry, but Avery has no standing here. She can grieve him privately, but she's out of line for trying to claim his remains and co-opt his memorial. The entire story sounds sketchy AF. And while you skirt around it, is there an implication she could be involved in his passing? Honestly, block this woman. Don't talk to her at all. And if she has questions about his estate, refer her to your lawyer. You knew Landon for decades. You still are in contact with his family. You are the ones who should be planning whatever comes next. The entire story sounds sketchy AF, and while you skirt around it, is there an implication she could be involved in his passing? To answer directly, yes, I believe so. Avery gave 2 accounts of what happened. To the deputy coroner, she said that they arrived at her mom's house at 3 a.m. and Landon went to bed. She stated that she left at 6 a.m., came back at 10 a.m. and found him in the same position and discovered he had passed. To me, they got to the home at midnight, stayed up talking to her mom. They went to bed at 3 a.m. and when she woke up at 10 a.m., she found him deceased beside her. The deputy coroner also told me that they found at least 10 different IDs, social security cards and bank cards, on him in his pockets when they got there. I know this man. He always emptied his pockets before he went to sleep, and would put his wallet and anything he had in his pockets, except for his phone, in his slippers or shoes. He did this every night, no matter where we were. Am I the a-hole for housing my daughter but not my stepdaughter? Plus updates. Original post. I'm a 48 male who inherited a beach house from my grandfather. The house has been in my family for generations, and it has a lot of sentimental value to me. I am now with my long-term girlfriend for 7 years after a divorce from my first wife, which ended on good terms. She has a daughter from a previous marriage, and I have a daughter from my marriage as well. Our daughters are each 17, with mine being basically 3 months younger, and Kara, the oldest, will be 18 in May. Kara's been in my life for 7 years, and we have a good relationship. However, she has an active father in her life, so I did not feel that role. I was in her life 50% of the time, so I have no doubt I played a large role in her life. But I wouldn't say father, but others do say a non-legal stepfather. I have my daughter Emmy half the time as well, aside from summers, where I had her more due to my and my ex's lifestyle. With that said, my ex and I have a good relationship, as does our daughter with all of us. Kara and Emmy have gotten along, and they are friendly. They have made plans independent of myself and my girlfriend, but they don't consider themselves sister or best friends. Now to the issue. Kara will be going to school near the beach house and has asked if she can live in it to save the money, which would be significant. Emmy approached me and has said she wanted to live there after the summer, but wanted to live alone while also in school. The home is more than big enough for two, but she pointed out that they have very different lifestyles and would be far more comfortable alone or with a friend if I insisted she live with someone. It was a frank conversation, and she brought up the fact that the home will be hers one day, so it made sense. And she's right, the home will be hers by law in a few years, as I will pass it to her. My girlfriend and Kara are very upset and calling it favoritism and pointing out that she will already be set for life between having a free ride to school via scholarships and housing, while Kara will be using loans and may have to take a gap year or attend another school altogether. They are asking me to reconsider, and I think I've damaged my relationship. Am I the a-hole for this decision? I agree that is favoritism, but Emmy's my daughter, so of course I'm going to favor her, right? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. You're Kara's mom's boyfriend and not Kara's stepfather, seeing as you're not married. Kara's dad needs to step up and support her if money is an issue. Exactly, since it's mentioned that her bio dad is active in her life. Why not teach both kids how to be responsible and respectful adults? Charge them rent, albeit low since it will be daughters eventually. They learn valuable lessons. Stepdaughter will learn to respect roommates or get kicked out. Daughter will learn about paying bills and be responsible. What will the daughter do when she does get a house but doesn't learn financial responsibility? Will dad be paying for the property taxes and bills? And why is stepdaughter not approaching his daughter to talk about this? This is not even about charging rent. OP's daughter doesn't want to live with a stepdaughter, and certainly not for 3 years. And I see nothing wrong with that. Why isn't stepdaughter and girlfriend talking to his daughter? Maybe addressing any concerns she may have. Instead, they're going to her dad and asking him to force her to live with a stepdaughter? Not the a-hole. Here's why. Your daughter is a non-party kid. Stepdaughter is a party kid. You own a property, and who in their right mind would let a party kid live in a home way far away who won't be monitored? Drunk kids destroy property all the time, and it's you who will have to fix it. An apartment or anything else means the legal side of you messed it up, or you have to leave for destruction or noise issues are cut and dried, whereas with you even with side stuff means a longer, harder road. Also, having a party kid with non-party kid who is focused on school means the one with scholarships has to try and deal with keeping grades up and all extra commotion in-house. To me, it's not about your kid versus stepdaughter. It's about keeping property as is and not having the issues of destruction or other child from losing scholarships. Not only do drunk kids destroy property, they can result in legal issues, and legal issues can be huge. I agree. And in addition to property damage, what would happen to OP if party girl or her guests were injured on the property? And OP's daughter earned her scholarships, so they are not a free ride. That always gets me too. I went to college on scholarships. Even after you get them, you have to work your tail off to keep them. A scholarship is not a free ride. Not the a-hole. For 7 years, your daughter has been pleasant and friendly towards 2 people you brought into her life. Now, she is moving into the next phase of her life, and she would like less contact with them. That seems entirely reasonable. To force her into living with your girlfriend's daughter, especially when there's a lifestyle incompatibility, seems unfair and graceless. You and your girlfriend should be grateful your daughter has made things so easy in terms of the overlapping of your lives. It's absolutely not favoritism, which is an absolutely wild thing to say when Kara also has a living, breathing father with 50% custody. Now for the first update. I spoke to Emmy and her mom and let them know where I stood, and that was beside Emmy. But I also felt that Kara and her mom deserved a genuine conversation. The conversation was this past Friday. The talk started out okay. Obviously, there were some emotions, but I started the conversation with telling everyone there would be no yelling and tears would not be used to influence anyone. After it was all said and we began, I just proposed the situation as, this is a second home that I own fully and outright. It will be Emmy's fully legally and in name in a few years. But as of today, it is mine. However, like the house, Emmy is mine and my responsibility. No one but us is entitled to it. And make no mistake, Emmy is indeed entitled to it. It may not be fair in your eyes, but it is what it is. Emmy, I can see why they may think it's selfish as the house can accommodate you both, but I will support whatever you want to do. This is not a discussion to change your mind, but to better understand it. It started pretty bluntly, from Kara and her mom saying they didn't understand why she didn't want her to live there as this would dictate a huge part of her future. The answer was half expected, and the other half hard for everyone to swallow. Emmy said she didn't trust Kara to actually focus on school and not make the home into a party house. She point-blank asked Kara if she could actually accept not having guests over. And Kara said something like, a few people 2 or 3 days a week wouldn't be a problem, when the answer should have been yes. Emmy said she wouldn't feel safe with her bringing over strange men whenever she wanted, and her dad would want to visit and she doesn't trust him at all. She said school was her main focus, and staying safe would be a worry if Kara was there. Kara and her mom got defensive, but I told them it didn't matter. She can't say she won't bring people over. Tells me all I need to know, and my daughter's safety is paramount, and Kara's focuses were blurred. Socializing is fine, but perhaps I was wrong and it had gotten out of hand. And I told my girlfriend that as her mother, she would have to address that, and that whatever the plan would be for Kara's schooling had she not ever met me, would have to be her course of action. As for Emmy, after the conversation, I told her she would have a roommate, as I felt it was important. She was okay with that, and asked if she could ask a friend. I told her yes, so all is good there. As everyone guessed, girlfriend is now ex-girlfriend. She asked me to stay somewhere else for a week, while she found somewhere to stay. But I reminded her that this was also my house, and she was free to leave whenever. She ended up going to stay with a coworker, but something happened and she asked to come back, but I told her it wouldn't be wise. That's the update. Daughter is happy and I'm better than I thought I would be. Today's a new day. X will figure it out, and Kara has time to learn and grow. Speaking of X figuring it out, did she get to learn how awful Reddit strangers were being about her daughter? Kara's probably already grown, and learned from this hopefully enough not to repeat her mother's mistakes. You stuck to your guns, and while I absolutely understand the safety aspect, which not the a-hole for this, I stand by my previous replies that Emmy's going to grow up to very controlling, /entitled /selfish, going by how she put things with no visitors at all, rather than just no dodgy people. Just seriously don't take on another partner now until A, Emmy's living her own life, and B, you're actually in love. Because going by previews and especially your footnote here, you clearly weren't with your ex and wasted 7 years of her life, and you're the a-hole for this bit. I wish your ex and Kara all the best. They'll need it. Way to judge Emmy. Some people just want to focus on other things in life, and they don't owe anyone any explanations. Safety and security will always be a top priority in other people's life. What makes someone uncomfortable, as long as they are not stepping on others' rights, is fair. I'm trying to make a list of the things I would have done for free rent in college. Agree to not have friends over is way at the top. I stayed in the closet to graduate without debt. Right? Especially since there's a difference between never have any guests and have guests only on weekends and they can't be strangers and must be agreed upon ahead of time. It sounds like Emmy was willing to be reasonable as long as education was the focus, but a girlfriend's daughter saw it as a free party house. Her dad would want to visit and she doesn't trust him at all. It's odd to me that Opie glossed over this. Yeah, that alone would have me saying nope. I'm very glad Emmy isn't being put in that situation. Kara's response to Emmy's question really highlighted how incompatible they were going to be as roommates. It's good that she didn't pretend she would act otherwise, if she really had no intention to. But like if Kara had abided by Emmy's request for several months, she might have built her trust up to be able to have more company over time. Yeah, and that was what she thought would be a reasonable response in front of the parental units. Reality would have been much more often, with many more people. Emmy knows her way better than any of the 4 parents for sure. Good for Emmy. She's gonna go far. Now for the last update. To make a very long story short, this was not the full conclusion that I thought it would be. I'm not super familiar with Reddit, and I thought that update was deleted or not posted by the moderators. So, Kara is now in jail. She was picked up in a stolen Kia by some friends, and they used the car to break into a pawn shop. I couldn't tell you what was stolen or how much was stolen, but some football cards were taken, and I guess they were worth more than the car and building damage. I understand people will say a lot about this, but I can honestly say she never did anything remotely like this. The worst thing I saw her do was break a dish on purpose when she was 13. As for my ex, well, she's living at a shelter now. She was not cheating on me, and I never thought she was. That was just people making leaps. Unfortunately, the woman she was living with asked her to join her and her husband for activities after moving in. She felt she had to do it for a place to live, and she regretted it. She told people at work and was terminated after refusing a transfer. My daughter and I are good, but mentally shook. If your intentions are pure, you don't lose people, they lose you. Never before have I seen this thought better illustrated. You didn't kick anyone out. You didn't end a relationship. You just communicated what was and was not acceptable for you, and the rest was on them. I'm kinda stunned about the audacity of the girlfriend telling Opie that he needed to move out of his house. She was going to try to keep the house, I bet. Getting her out once she was in the sole possession would have been a nightmare. It sounds like Kara's spiraling since the breakup. It must be hard knowing your mother lost her long-term relationship / common law marriage because of you. The girlfriend didn't need to torpedo her relationship because her kid wanted free rent. That much isn't Kara's fault. The ex-girlfriend and daughter could have had everything with Opie, and now have nothing because how entitled they were. I do think they were with Opie for the money, to be honest. So I was originally thinking it sucks that they were left so destitute. But then I was like, wait, WTF? They were living with Opie for 3 to 4 years. Ex-girlfriend could have been saving up, while Opie presumably paid more for expenses. But reading between the lines, she probably didn't do that, and just spent all her money with the expectation of relying on Opie for more. It's still crazy how fast they fell though. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving a wedding present I promised because I was uninvited? I, 32 male, was invited to a wedding of an acquaintance of mine named Molly a few months ago. I'm not super close to her or her fiancé, but I love weddings, so I said, yeah, I'll go. Now, the relevant part here is that I have a very good career and make an excellent living. Plus, I love giving gifts and splurging a bit. So I spoke with Molly and her fiancé and promised them a custom-made gaming PC since they game together. They were very happy and thanked me a lot. The price of the PC would come out to be a little over $1,500, not counting the monitor I was willing to throw in. Then 2 months ago, Molly told me that, unfortunately, I had to be uninvited to the wedding as part of a cost-cutting measure. She apologized, but assured me it was only because of cost. I was upset, but let it go. Then I found out a week or so later from a mutual acquaintance that was still going, that Molly told her she had to cut people because she needed the invites for some of the groom's family who decided to come. I was angry, so I decided not to give Molly the PC I promised. Molly's wedding happened 2 weeks ago, and from what I can tell, it was a nice ceremony. Afterward, she actually texted me, asking if we can talk about when the PC would arrive. I asked if we could call. She said yes, and I told her that since I didn't go to the wedding, that I wasn't going to get her a gift. We had a long argument, where she said I was being petty, and that I was holding it against her that I couldn't come, and that I made a promise. I didn't tell her what I knew because I wanted to protect the person who told me. She called me a petty a-hole and complained to our friend group. I explained to few select people the whole story and most agreed with me, but some said that weddings cause people to make tough decisions that aren't personal. So now I'm doubting myself. Maybe it wasn't personal and I'm just being petty. But she did lie to me and uninvited me while still expecting an expensive gift from me. So guys, am I the a-hole? Edit. Anyway, I just had to say that I didn't feel entitled to being invited over the groom's family. I just didn't appreciate being lied to. Had she told me why she needed to cancel, then I wouldn't have minded as much. I just don't understand the need for subterfuge. Also, I don't know anything about PC gaming. I'm a console gamer. I saw some people saying that PC was cheap, so I'll explain. I looked up a gaming PC from a site called Digital Storm. I gave them a model, they liked it, and I ordered it. Also, I don't plan to stop giving gifts, but I will probably scale back on the grandiosity. Hope that clears up stuff. Thank you all. Molly's delusional if she expects an acquaintance who was uninvited to still give a gift, not the a-hole. There's honestly nothing else to say here. This is it. End of story. And a gift of that magnitude? Sheesh. That's the real reason she's angry. If she was expecting a small gift from Opie, there would be no issue here. She realized she lost out on an awesome gift, and she's mad about it. I'm not sure how she didn't see that coming, to be honest. Like that should have been the expected outcome of uninviting someone. Not the a-hole. Wedding presents are commonly given by wedding guests and close family and friends. You weren't any of those things. And on that note, you aren't particularly close. So why did she invite you? Other than your generous reputation? Seems to me she tried to pull a fast one and failed. Well, we're part of the same circles. We've gotten closer over the past year, and she invited some people from our friend group. I made the initial cut, I guess. Plus, I guess she did hear about my gift giving. I would never have the poor taste to uninvite a friend from an event and still expect a gift. If anything, she should be making it up to you.